Action4Asia is cycling 15,000 kilometres from Singapore to Mumbai to raise money for the water and sanitation charity Aquabox. Now Aquabox send these water filtration units to places like the Philippines and Syria. Now the water's coming up through the aquafilter and through these micropores and cleaning the water, so there's no need for chlorine or iodine tablets. Cheers! Remix from Action4Asia!
180 kilometers something later.
First time driving the support vehicle at the moment.
I'm just trying to look pretty cool.
Paul doing a good job.
I'm out the window.
I've got the car wash. We're in Kuala Lumpur and already the engine's overheated.
Not Kuala Lumpur, Batu Cave.
We're in Batu Cave.
Yeah, Batu Cave.
Oh, we're in Batu Cave.
I think we'll make it, as long as we can ride that far. Yeah, we're not really ready for this, I suppose. Just realised that I've not got any toilet paper with me. Dave? Yeah? Did you bring any tissues with you?
We're about 60k now from Kuala Lumpur. I'm really looking forward to having the first shower in about 5 days. Like this 30-degree heat and high humidity. Really, it starts to smell after a while. Oh, there's a goat! Look at the goat! Look, there's a goat!
When we first started cycling from Singapore into Johor, 6 lanes of traffic, and then as soon as we got through the first checkpoint on the Singapore side, they kind of all filed into a single lane. So there was me and Dave on our bikes, trying to keep pace with about 400 motorbikes flying past us. That was quite fun. There's no real highway code here. We saw people driving down the wrong side of the road today, and we're in Malaysia, so it's going to get probably a lot more difficult.
Hello, man! How are you? Hello! We just arrived in Kuala Lumpur, and last night we interviewed this traditional Malaysian band. And after interviewing them, they just kindly invited us to go to this traditional Malaysian wedding. So we're really looking forward to this, feel highly privileged. We're going to a Malaysian wedding! Woo! Kathy's joined us and she'll be staying with us for about 2 to 3 weeks, cycling through a bit of Thailand, Cambodia and a little bit of Vietnam. So it's good to see Kathy on the team, boosted morale, good to see a fresh face.
Today's been one of those days which you just wish would never happen really. Woke up to news this morning that Kathy and AJ been in a bus crash. The bus they've been on had come off the road because the driver fell asleep.
After I hit the ground, my arm was under the bus roof and the ground. And I remember screaming because it was hurting my hand, no, my arm I mean, and I thought I was gonna be stuck under there. Well, AJ told me like, Catherine, my head is bleeding, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then some locals came and helped her to get to a local doctor. So I was left alone there with a big bump in my head and shaking.
I think the cycling is going to be very tough on this expedition. I mean, no doubt cycling 9,000 miles from Singapore to Mumbai is definitely going to be very hard. I think one of the hardest things on this expedition is going to be finding food for AJ. I mean, she's not allergic to much. It's just onions and gluten and milk and all dairy products and soy sauce and chili sauce. In fact, pretty much all sauces I've found so far I think she's allergic to. Is this actually a fish? Wow. Just empty. Oh. And it's been a challenge in many ways.
We cannot cross the border with the car. We have to pack everything we need for Cambodia and for Vietnam for the next, is it next month? Yeah, the next 40 days. The next 40 days.
So now we basically have 2 people on bicycles and 2 people with no form of transport.
So we're gonna pack our stuff. Oh shit. Let's do this, Paul.
Pedro served us well. I mean, he tries to break down every 50 kilometers, but we just love him even more for that.
The car's just broken down. I think the battery's gone.
We miss you, Pedro, but we've got the bikes fully loaded with all the equipment. So yeah, we'll carry on as planned through Cambodia. So today we visited an orphanage. It's not like a place I've ever been before, to be honest.
There's 500 designated slum areas in Phnom Penh alone.
Yep.
Thousands of children in situations where they get no care like this at all.
One child his mum tried to murder him. He's a 5-year-old boy with multiple stab wounds in his body.
Kids from the age of 5 being put in brothels.
Alcohol's a major problem, drug abuse is a major problem, and violence, physical, sexual violence towards children is very common in these areas.
And these children, I mean, they're just some of the most fantastic children you'll ever find.
When they leave the slums, when they're rescued from the slums, they come here.
They shop every day for the kids because they don't have fridges, so that it keeps the food fresh. They spend about $1.20 every day for them to eat.
We believe that education, as it is in any country, is the key to these kids having some sort of a future.
In Phnom Penh, Dave and Paul visited a hospital. The hospital provided free surgery for children who are born with MEC.
It's a birth defect where the neural tube doesn't close properly in the early weeks of pregnancy, and it leaves a hole in the front of the skull here. That can herniate and can become filled with cranial fluid and sometimes brain matter.
It seems mostly associated with poverty and possibly due to the consumption of moldy rice, producing toxins which interfere with neural tube development.
When they're going through school, people bully them and they really lose their self-esteem.
There's parental reluctance to have the child's appearance improved.
If they got surgery, they will got looking better from before, so they could not beg anymore.
Infection can spread straight to the brain, and meningitis and death almost inevitable.
Having this operation gives them an opportunity to have a good education and get good jobs. I think it's a good project.
All of the treatment here at the Children's Surgical Centre is free of charge.
It has been amazing and at times overwhelming to see what people do to help others. It is hard to describe the feeling you get, but I have seen so many happy faces, and especially happy children. And smiling children are the best.
I think everything that happens to you in life, you just have to look back at it as something that made you stronger, something you can learn from.
It's been an experience, it's been an adventure.